Peter Zumthor was born, as you can see, on April 26, 1943. He's a Swiss architect whose work is frequently described as uncompromising and minimalist. Though managing a relatively small firm, he is the winner of the 2009 Pritzker Prize and 2013 RIBA Royal Gold Medal. Anyway, we'll talk about his works. Yes, I did want to say that, you know, managing a relatively small firm, but I never saw a picture with his firm. I never saw a picture with him and his colleagues of work, with his employees. He always pictures himself alone. You think that this man does all the works by himself, you know, with one leg, one foot on a chair, maybe with a cigar in his mouth, drawing. But the truth is, he has associates, and he could not have built those buildings alone. But they are never shown. Never. We do not see the small firm, small if it is small. Even here it says relatively small. This says something about him. So let's read further about Peter Zumthor. Was born in Basel, Switzerland. His father was a cabinet maker, which exposed him to design from an early age and led him to become an apprentice for a carpenter later in 1958. He studied at the Arts and Crafts School in his native city, starting in 1963. In 1966, Zumthor studied industrial design and architecture as an exchange student at Pratt Institute in New York. In 1968, he became conservationist architect for the Department for the Preservation of Monuments of the Canton of Graubünden. This work on historic restoration projects gave him a further understanding of construction and the qualities of different rustic building materials. As his practice developed, Zumthor was able to incorporate his knowledge of materials into modernist construction and detailing. His buildings explore the tactile and sensory qualities of spaces and materials while retaining a minimalist feel. Let's hope I can, yeah, okay, just a second. So this is the man. We all know him. He's considered by some as being a mystic. I personally have some doubts about his mysticism. In fact, I found an article and actually several on the web where some people comment on his hunger for publicity, which normally under normal conditions, a true mystic does not have, does not entertain. Here he is again. It's very interesting how this man was able to depict himself in these rather romantic ways. Although, I mean, yes, I am subjective, but when I look at his face, I would not think of a mystic. I would not think of a mystic at all. In fact, in comparison, I would almost say that IMP, especially when he was young, looked more like a mystic than Zumthor in this picture. Now, it's true, this is one picture, but this picture says a lot about him. I think this man is a shrewd man. I mean, that's what I see on his face. And maybe I'm also influenced by what I read, but I don't need to be influenced by what I read. I can see. I have eyes to see. Anyway, I have some doubts about him, and I will try to comment on his works. Didn't I tell you? Here he is. You know, you say that this man works alone, but he doesn't work alone. He has an office, relatively small. You know what that means. You know, at least 10, 15 people. And why is it that they are never shown? This building, I think, personally, I think Peter Zumthor is relevant and appreciated, is relevant to the people who still believe unquestionably in reason, in the clarity of reason, in rectangular forms. After all, what else do we see here? You know, it's a rectangularity almost at its best. I mean, the rhythm itself and the long straight lines and so on. It's really an architecture of reason. That's why I'm a little bit surprised when I read when I hear that he's considered a mystic. The Zinc Mine Museum in Sauda, in I think it's in Norway, troubles me further, and I will try to say why. I think the architecture is rather ominous, not just because of the blackness of its enclosures, but if I didn't know this was made by Peter Zumthor, if I just saw this picture, I would imagine actually, I would not be surprised if behind this, in case I was able to see, if I saw, you know, a military man with a big rifle, you know, controlling, you know, the space around the structure. Let's say if this was part of a prison or a camp. It's something militaristic about it. This is what I feel. You know, it's very similar. These two, I don't know how they are called, these cabins from where, you know, a keeper of order in a prison or a camp, you know, watches everything. I would never think of this building as belonging to the architecture of a mystic. But there is something else. The way he treats wood. In my opinion, a mystic has reverence for wood, like those old Japanese craftsmen who never used a nail. Well, you'll see what Peter Zumthor does to the poor wood very soon. I hope I have here the pictures. You see, all the structures use the same architectural language. To me, they are rather unromantic. Let's put it this way. I still think that if our age was not so obsessed by reason again, he would not have been so appreciated. But it seems, you know, at our best, we still like very much rational or rationalistic configurations, architectural configurations. Not to speak about the roofing here. You know, I mean, look at the roofing. Would you use this kind of roofing in the mountains where there is a lot of snow? But this is almost a flat roof. I'm not a functionalist, far from it, but I do know that in the mountains, it's very preferable to have sloping roofs of a significant degree, so the snow can roll down from the roof. No problem with this. You know, he's not concerned about this. Now, look at this stone, at the rocks. Look at the huge nails, if I am to call them nails. I try to avoid the technical word. Actually he's raping the rocks. You could say, how could you rape a rock? But how could you rape wood? Because he does the same thing. You know, this is a very, in my opinion, almost cynical approach to materials. You know, this piercing of wood and rock alike with you know, metallic you know, things that you have at your disposal, to me it doesn't show a lot of sensitivity. I certainly cannot see here the adoration of the joint, the one that Louis Kahn mentioned in relation with the works of Carlos Carpa. There is no adoration of the joint here. There is no joint. That's not how you put together, bring together two entities or two people, let's say, in a marriage, a he and a she. Not in this way. This is very aggressive. That's why I continue to be very surprised that this man is considered a mystic. To me, a mystic doesn't want to disturb through will, through willfulness, nature, which is God's creation. But here, I'm very sorry, piercing rocks in this way, I find very questionable. Sorry for my sincerity. There are other problems. You look at this structure, and I hope I have a picture from the inside. The window is very low. It's almost like it's destined to, I hope I'm not wrong. I hope I have pictures here. I hope you can see. Here, look here. It's almost forcing you to look downwards instead of looking upwards towards, and he had plenty of space because as you can see, this is a very tall structure. And he did it in another place. We are going to see it. Now, of course, it's nothing wrong to look downwards because you see trees and so on. But what about the sky, Mr. Mystic? I mean, the sky does not matter. I find it awkward, really awkward. In order to see the sky, you almost have to lower yourself and look upwards in an uncomfortable position. Here, the knees see more than your eyes, the way he designed this. And I don't know very well why he designed it in this way. He could have designed it in many other ways. Maybe I'm too critical, but this is what I feel. This is what I reflected upon. This is what I thought. In my opinion, is not a romantic work, and it's not a mystical work. It's a work of aggression, actually, towards a beautiful landscape, and towards wood and towards rocks. And look at him in this posture. I mean, really, I am actually paying homage to him now, talking about him and his works on his birthday. And I don't think too many people do this today while we do it. But when I see this picture, you know, I'm very sorry. I'm not very trustful of this man. He's too self-involved and too absorbed by his persona. You would say that here is God himself, you know, describing some kind of you know, mystery of the world in I mean, you know, if this was let's say an Egyptian pyramid or the Parthenon itself, or you know, some truly great building, maybe, but even then I would have objected to this kind of posturing. But what is this? It's a little nonsense, almost of plywood, you know, raping stone and wood, and he's you know, in a way, in front of this little thing, as if, come on, really, I think he's exaggerating. I think he's a great salesperson. I think he knows very well how to sell, and he succeeded. And look here, is this a sign of sensitivity? Piercing wood like this? I would have never done it. And the old Japanese who knew how to work with wood would not have done it either. This shows aggressivity. No wonder that this man said that he lost a long time ago the belief that architecture can change the world. But in my opinion, if you don't have this belief, why do you continue to build? I don't think an architect with a certain sensitivity continues to build without a little bit of hope, at least, that he or she can contribute to the betterment of the human life. In my opinion, all important architects did believe, because otherwise, if you don't believe in this, why do you continue to build? I am suspicious of this man. This is the third or fourth presentation I make about Peter Zumthor, and I kind of think the same way. I didn't change. Columba Museum in Köln. Here again, we'll see a display. There are some good things here. Not everything he does is really bad or questionable. He has some talent, but I think he's overrated. Like here, for example, he has this ruined building, but in my opinion, again, he has great troubles to connect, to bring together, to join. I don't think he knows how to join. Look here, this is the old wall and this is the new wall. This is very simplistically done, and I think even aesthetically problematic. I think even in less ambitious schools of thought, it is recommended to have a third entity or space, some kind of a spacing between this wall and this one. Here there is no spacing. He is brutally bringing together the old and the new, but this is not joining. This is not the art of joining. Look at this. To me is actually depressing. I mean, is this a resolved window or a configuration of blocking the window? In my opinion, it shows almost cynicism. When I look at this picture, I could envision that behind it is some kind of a almost concentration camp. Sorry for using such harsh words, but to me, I don't see grace here. I don't see sensitivity. I don't feel he had compassion for this old arch and these remnants of the old building. He didn't. Really, if this would have been done by another architect, I think many people would have been less willing to applaud. But because it was done by him, I mean, look here. Is this an inspiring yes towards life, towards art, towards the past? I don't think so. That's not what I feel. I could understand he's not very optimistic probably about the human destiny or human affairs, but he built this not during the Ukraine war, he built it years ago. So his pessimism, I don't know if it was so justified or justifiable. After all, he is in many ways a very spoiled, in a way, a lucky architect. He achieved fame, awards, money, adoration. He has it all. Then why such, why such an aesthetic? This is not the aesthetic of joy, in my opinion. And again, what bothers me is his unwillingness to sensitively unite or attempt to unite two entities. Like in this case, like we saw previously also, he's not bringing things together in a subtle way. There is aggressivity here. That's what I see. But he's interesting in a way because paradoxically, I'm not trying to psychoanalyze him now as an amateur psychoanalyst, but I have a feeling this man is actually not very gentle, and yet he was able to promote a persona of ample gentleness. I'm not convinced of him. This stair is well done, I think, but again, there are many architects who can build a convincing staircase. It's not it's not the beginning and the end of the world. There are some qualities in this space here. I like this zigzagging passageway in this space. I do like it, and I hope I have pictures with it. I am not sure about this porosity of the walls. The idea is good, perhaps, but this pointillism, architectural pointillism, is a little bit. I don't know. There's something for me seems to be missing. It's still kind of based on the reason somehow, although he is appearing to be playful, but the playfulness, I think what is missing is roundness. You know, you don't have the interplay between the square and the circle, or to talk in mystical terms, the squaring of the circle. I don't see it. I don't see it here. But this is nice. I think this bridge passageway, and looking at the ruins, the foundations of the previous building, there are some qualities, but the columns also to me are rather simplistic and frigid, and a little bit commercial too. Peter Zumthor. Now the brother Klaus Field Chapel. He built, a few chapels like this. This one is very nice inside. It is true. I like it inside very much. This picture in particular, I find it inspired and inspiring, and I congratulate him for it. But I don't congratulate him for the entrance door in this chapel, which I find rather oppressive in its geometrical determinism. The sketch, he makes nice drawings, though. I have seen, especially for the Serpentine Gallery Pavilion, some very nice watercolors, but we'll arrive there. But this interest into the chapel, I'm sorry, but it's rather closer in spirit to an interest to a gas chamber. First of all, it's metallic, it's heavy, it's opaque. This is not a welcoming, even the triangle is so astute. It's, yes, the triangle, maybe could be seen also in a positive way, but it's too harsh. It's a harsh triangle, and it's a cold, heavy metal door. To me, this is not a door that welcomes you into the house of spiritual light. After all, it is a chapel. I mean, would you imagine this kind of door to a church or a cathedral or a chapel done by someone else? It's almost, for me, and I am subjective, and I apologize if I'm considered to be too subjective, but to me, it's almost a cynical architectural door, architectural statement with this heavy, thick, metallic, opaque door. Look at it. It's almost like a gas chamber. It's, I really don't think this man, his spirituality is so high as he pretends, as people think he is. This is not the triangle of spirit, because the triangle of spirit, in my opinion, should be also the triangle of modesty. The triangle is not very modest to begin with, but treated in material terms the way he did it, in my opinion, is deprived almost complete. Without almost, this is not a modest, as you'd expect, the entrance into a museum. Look, it's that's what I feel. That's what I think. Another chapel. Now, in this chapel, we'll see something else. This chapel, in my opinion, has other problems. Let's hope we arrive at. Look at the outside. What do you see here? Well, I'm sure he didn't plan this, did he? Well, the same almost horizontal, almost flat roof. Of course, in the Switzerland snows a lot. The snow accumulated here and the snow affected this wall. That's it. That he doesn't care too much about wood seems to me obvious. We saw how he penetrated those pieces of wood in Norway. We see here that he didn't care that this wood is suffering when the snow melts down and creates this discomfort for wood, if I am to call it so. Look at this stair. Is this the Pritzker stair? Is this a stair of a master in architecture? I mean, I understand we have minimalism, although he's not quite a minimalist architect. I would say rather he's a careless architect, because we have John Pawson, for example, a British true minimalist who creates beautiful, stairs. He was able to. We saw the museum in Germany, but here again, this is a chapel. No, it's a small house of God. It's the house of spirit. This is almost like the stair of a stair for a banal house going to the basement. It's a stair. Not that it is modest. This is not modesty. This is indifference or even cynicism. I'm very sorry. If he was here, I would have told him the same thing. There is cynicism here towards not employing the proper roofing in an area where it snows a lot. And here is another kind of cynicism. And I don't find anything spiritual in this building. Plus, you'll see that there was another building almost identical with this one, built by other architects years ago. We'll arrive at that picture. I don't know. I mean, you could ask many students of architecture and architects to design a chapel, and probably they would come up with something like this very easily. I mean, I really don't think it's great architecture here. It's architecture, but when I look at this and I think of some of the great chapels of the world that were built over the years, including in modernity, this one to me is, if I was a little bit aggressive, and I seem to be today, it seems to me almost a joke. I am sorry. And snow punishes the joke. And the entrance is, again, this is not modesty. This is cynicism. You can be very, very, modest, but with care. Here I see banality. I'm very sorry. That stair is banal, very banal. There is some curvature there, it's true. Even these drawings, I don't know if he did these drawings. I hope not, because he knows how to draw. These drawings I like, it's true. I don't know if he did them or his office. They are finely drawn, but I'm not moved by this building. I don't feel God here. I see God in a sacred space by Luis Barragan. I think of him now, but here I don't. Maybe it's my own inability. Maybe I did see it inside that chapel with a triangular door. The inside, yes, there is very very well achieved. What is this? Yeah, this is the other, I told you, from 1959, a very similar building built by these people, or this person, Rudolf Schwarz. It's larger, but in my opinion, is a superior building to the one done by Peter Zumthor. The plan is similar. It's a larger building, of course, but here we see architecture. We don't see jokes. This is the top view of his building, and here you see even better you know, the great achievements, architectural achievements of the Pritzker Prize laureate. I mean, I don't know, are these people who offer the Pritzker Prize blind? I really don't know. I don't understand. I have seen very questionable things this year as well, you know, with Francis Keren. So again, if I compare this with this, is this better than this? I don't think so. Anyway, it's smaller. You could say, okay, it's a more innocent work, but it's not innocent. Memorial, this one we saw, long indeed, a long corridor. He likes straight lines, obviously, and he's good when he zigzags a little bit. We have seen it, but I really don't think this is an unbelievable work. And again, we see the same game of raping the wood in aggressive and so-called efficient way, because it's very easy. He doesn't care about joining. Peter Zumthor doesn't care about joining. At least here he elevates the wood from the earth, which is a good idea. But the transition through the steel is, look here, is the same aggressivity towards the wood that he performs in performed in Norway as well. There is some skill, rectangular skill, but a house. Now this house, with this house, I really have a problem, maybe more than the other buildings, because I never yet saw a building with shelves for the snow. And that's exactly what Peter Zumthor did here. Look at the beautiful building on the left, the existing old building, and look at what he did on the right, creating for, in my opinion, graphic reasons, superficial reasons actually, certainly not functional, shelves for snow. So why he did them, I don't know. Look at them. Look at this, the multitude of shelves, and they are wide. They are at least, I mean, I didn't measure them, but they seem to be at least 15, 20 centimeters wide in an area where it snows a lot and rains a lot. If this was done inside to put books on, I would have understood. But to put them outside for no reason at all, again, there is no reason for this. These are shelves for snow. I never saw shelves for snow before. Well, here he is, but I hope I have other pictures with him, because to me this is outrageous. It's just outrageous. He understood nothing and considered nothing from the old building. The old building is beautiful and truly modest. This is not modest. And look at this window, so narrow. Again, it's like condemning the one inside to not see the sky. Here is better, yes, but this window is the window of, I'm sorry, a concentration camp. To do something like this in nature, in this beautiful landscape, to me, this is sadistic. This kind of window is sadistic in such a beautiful landscape. Look at it here. You know, it's the graphism of these parallel lines he wanted totally uselessly. I mean, again, these are shelves for snow and rain. Here he is, the master architect. Of course, he works alone. He did all these works by himself, right? Of course, he has an office. Nobody saw pictures of those who helped him. Nobody. It's just him, right? The mystic. But the mystic has a beautiful kitchen, doesn't he? You know, orange juices and all kinds of exotic juices and fruits and vegetables and ice cream probably. And I mean, you know, I'm tired of this man. Sorry for being so honest. Back to this, to the shelves for snow. Why this man is a hero, I do not understand. I really don't understand. Look at them. You can see them clearly. Can you imagine in the winter, the snow will accumulate here without doubt. The rain also, in time, this wood would curve itself because the abuse that it receives. And in contrast, look at this window, this beautiful small window of the old building. I'm not a passeist. I love the new. I love invention. I love modernity. But this is a fake modernity. This is, to me, this is sheer nonsense to do something like this towards the exterior. I cannot comprehend. And look at the window again, like in Norway. You know, this is a sadistic window. It truly is. Yeah, no, and he didn't make this window small or narrow because of sustainability reasons. No, because of graphic reasons. That's why. Look at the old building. I think it's beautiful. Now, it's true, I'm a nostalgic man. I like this picture because it's old. But here I see more wisdom, more modesty, and even more skill of some people who probably didn't have an architect. You know, some anonymous people built this building. And this is the shelf. This is the shelf for snow of the Pritzker laureate, done without any reason except to accumulate the snow. I find it outrageous. No one could explain to me why he did these shelves towards the outside. Killing wood for nothing. That's what it is about. Killing wood for nothing. Now we go to thermal baths in Vals. This celebrated work by him. In my opinion, this is not so mysterious and magical as people think. And I will legitimate my statement by this simple fact. Most pictures that I saw of these public baths show very sensuous silhouettes, like in this case. Why? Why? Because in most important architecture, you don't need such things, because the architecture is warm and sometimes mysterious, sometimes interesting, without the need for corporeal sensationalism. Look at this. Why did this building need such posturing? Because without this posturing, is actually, to use a language I very rarely use, if at all, bloody cold. The building is bloody cold. It's rational, it's rationalistic. I'm not against reason. You can achieve mysticism through reason too, through the right angle too. Le Corbusier wrote a poem, Le Poème de l'Angle Droit. Descartes was, in a way, a poet and a mystic, but Zumthor is not. This is my opinion. He's not a mystic. He mimics being a mystic. He's not. He's not. And if you remove these sensualities from his, many pictures are like this, with, seductive silhouettes, exactly because without them, the building is not actually so interesting. And it's not mystical, in my opinion. Another problem I have with this building is that, in my opinion, you see, we have glass here, grass, and here we have grass again. But this is a building. This is the top of the building. And the way the grass is domesticated here, to me, is so geometrically, again, I think it's cold. I don't know if I am now inspired enough to explain very well what I want to say, but it bothers me that the otherness that a building is supposed to mean here is diluted through the illusion, mimicking that somehow this is nature too, because we have grass here and we have grass here. But this is not nature, because you'll never see in nature such a flat surface. So there is, in my opinion, there is something problematic here. Maybe I intensify something that should not be seen in such resolute or intense terms, but I think it's a mistake, this one. To mimic nature through the material, but not through the geometry, and it's a manipulation of grass which I find problematic. Not to speak about, I mean, you know, these walls are cold. I mean, literally and figuratively. They are cold, they are gray, they are, I don't know. I like to think that a public bath could have some warmth in feeling the atmosphere. After all, didn't he publish a book about atmospheres? Well, I don't see so much atmospheres in his work, actually. Only for rationalists and not the true mystics of rationalism, this would appear as being, mystical. I like the. I hope I have here the drawing. Yes, I like very much this drawing, which was done by him, and I acknowledge the beauty of the drawing, but I think the fogginess, the poetry of the drawing was not properly reflected in the built work. The built work is more rigid, in my opinion, than the drawing. Yes, when the fog comes down, maybe the building softens a little bit its image, but otherwise, I find it a rather harsh building. The distance between it and the landscape outside is the distance between the shepherd of existence, anthropos, meaning controlling man, a controlling human being, and the nature which is under siege. I like the labyrinthical side of these things. There are some qualities here in terms of the plan, the drawing that we just saw, but all in all, I find it a cold building, a Cartesian building. The Cartesian aspect of the building is not shown in the drawing. In the drawing, he evokes something else, although you can approximate the rectangularities, it's true, but also because of the color, graphically is a good work. I like it. Again, we see, yes, of course, you can take interesting pictures in almost any building. It doesn't have to be by a master architect. You can. Yes, this one I like too. I like these drawings, and I also saw drawings, and I'm going to show them when we arrive at the Serpentine Gallery, Serpentine Pavilion. He did some good watercolors there too. I don't know. I mean, is this facade of this building truly connecting with the context, with the landscape? It's an institutional big building with a lot of cold human material, if I am to call it so, huge pieces of glass which do not open. I don't find it very poetical and very warm, very inducing to, especially when I see this fragile fence around. In what way does this building connect with the with nature, with the grass, with this fence? I don't see it doing it. It's too massive and too gray and too sure of itself. I think it's still a building of a domineering human being. That's how I see it. It's a building of a domineering human being, and I have problem with that. Now, the Serpentine Gallery, I have problems with this one too. Sorry for being negative. And I will explain why. I think he did a nice thing here, inviting a landscape architect to create this narrow and long. We know his liking for long things and rather narrow garden. Nice. Nature should be admired from these chairs and tables. But what is less nice is that this, well, the watercolor is very nice. And again, I acknowledge what is to be acknowledged. As a graphic work, is very, very good. I like it. But what I don't like is that this building orients every viewer towards the inside and doesn't care at all about the outside, which is also nature, because it's a park. So, if outside there were highways, or some disturbing, urban scenes or whatever, I would have understood. This was a refuge. You turn inwardly and you admire the beauty and the richness of nature. I would have understood completely. But this pavilion is placed in a park, also with nature. Look at these trees. The building by Peter Zumthor turns its back towards these trees. These poor trees, I fantasize now, they are crying that the building by Peter Zumthor turns its back on them and honors only this island of nature, so-called wild, that he created at the center. Beautiful are the plants, beautiful is the green, beautiful are the leaves. That, this is beautiful, but he orients the building so misanthropically towards the outside. And look at the access into the building. Again, this ungraceful way of employing concrete, asphalt to lead. I mean, this is in a park. Well, if we contemplate Katsura Palace, or we contemplate gardens in China or Japan or other parts of the world, those ancient, gardeners would have never done something so brutal. Without any respect for earth, for grass, it's just pouring asphalt to lead to the dark chamber. And look, he did it again. It's like entering into a garage or something. If this was wide enough, you could have thought that yes, this was made for cars. Well, he could have, if this man loves nature as he should, if he loved this land and grass and so on, he would not have made such a really abrasive surfaces of concrete leading into these, 2 or here 3 black holes into even this wall. Is this wall honoring the beauty of the trees outside? Is this the facade of a building that says yes to the park? No. In fact, here we could have had another gas chamber. This is my opinion. It's a building without any kind of sensitivity towards the park around it. I don't understand. These people who offer the Pritzker Prize are blind. I mean, is this a graceful building? He's protecting the garden within almost religiously, but he doesn't give a damn, sorry for the vulgarity of the expression, for the nature outside of the building, which is also a park. I mean, are these trees inferior to the plants inside the building in the courtyard? I don't think so. Don't they both belong to nature? Don't they both belong to, in a way, the creator? No, if Frank Lloyd Wright was correct that when he was asked, "Do you believe in God?" and he said, "I do, but I spell it nature." In my opinion, Peter Zumthor doesn't see a relationship between God and nature. No, he's sadic. He's sadic. He's sadic towards the park. Again, if there was a big highway here and industrial buildings or whatever, I would have understood. You turn your back on them because they are unpleasant and polluting and so on, and turn the attention and the affection for the inside, because that's where the flowers are. But the flowers are also outside, and he's not honoring in any way. In fact, he's totally indifferent towards the outside. To me, this is a very disappointing structure he built. Yes, these flowers are beautiful, but he didn't make the flowers. He did make the watercolors, which I like, but I don't like the building. Again, I find it very arrogant. Everybody here is looking towards these beautiful plants, and they deserve to be admired and have affection for them. They do, but so do the trees and the flowers outside and the grass. That's also nature, is it not? I mean, is it so? Look, here we have the bonanza of nature, the way it is represented here. This is the plan which probably his landscape architect drew. You know, a lot of horticulture here, and I'm glad, you know, he did a good job. I admire what I see here, of course, but I don't admire the architect for turning his back on the park. No, no. And you see, well, this is less skillfully done. I almost hope that it wasn't him who did it, but I'm tired of these gray, black buildings when you actually build in a park. You know, here at least we see the, you know, the imagined nature in the center, but you can see in the section that, you know, the sloping roof is all oriented towards the inside, and towards the outside you have almost a fortress, a black fortress, which says no to the park. And this triangle to me is also not, in my opinion, is a little bit too harsh. It might function, but I find it a little harsh. This angle here, it's not gentle. I don't think he's a gentleman. No. Yes, you can take beautiful pictures, as I said, of almost any building, any interior. But what do we see here? The poor shadow of the tree that he turned his back on. The tree is still generous to ornament the blank and blank again, the totally lacking sensitivity elevation of his pavilion with reflections. So the tree is more generous than he was. The tree is, you know, embracing in a way the ugly building, because it is ugly towards the outside. And yes, we can take such pictures. But inside, again, we are like in, you know, going to the gas chamber. This is, to me, this is not an interior that, you know, advocates, you know, kindness and, you know, modesty and warmth. No, but the flowers, yes, they are magnificent. But I'm afraid this man doesn't, I don't know. If his architecture was as beautiful as these plants and these flowers, I would have been the first one to say it. Look at him here, the mystic. Look at the paparazzi on the left. The man loves it. In my opinion, a true mystic is more discreet. This man cultivates a persona which is, in my opinion, not authentic. He loves publicity. But you see it here. He loves being godlike, but he is not God. And if he was God, he would have had compassion and affection for the trees and grass and the flowers outside of his enclosure. He doesn't care about this. This man loves publicity, and the true mystic doesn't. Now, of course, we all like to be acknowledged. But when I look at this asphalt, concrete, harsh surface on this earth, which he built at his instructions, I have great doubts about the subtleties of this great mystic of architecture. Great doubts. The Black Lily, and we're approaching the end. Now we see another building. Hopefully they are not going to build it in Los Angeles. Why is it black? This was supposed to be an art museum, but look what he proposed. And fortunately, there were protests in Los Angeles, and well, I think he changed something, but it's possible it's not going to be built. The Los Angeles County Museum of Art. I have seen this fragment, a fragment of scale, huge scale, at the Venice Biennial a few years ago. And I don't know why it was there, because it was supposed to be the Biennial of the Poor that was curated by Aravena. Well, he was invited there, and he brought you can imagine with what incredible expenditures, a huge model, a fragment of his museum, as if it was a celestial building. Well, we are going to see very soon what this so-called celestial building look like. First of all, why black? He meant it to be a huge horizontal building, black. I hope I accelerate a little bit because I want you to look at the students, or I don't know, young architects. Maybe they are part of his office. I don't know. Some people working on this model. Huge and black for Los Angeles, and then we go to renderings of his work, because this was not built. This is just a project that he did, that was supposed to be a huge building built in the States. Well, what do we see here? Typical museum scenes, a lot of glass, of course. We see Buddhas and all kinds of meditative postures, and then we see elegant ladies, and then we see activity, and we see shopping bags. Of course, this is the rendering of the office of the mystic. I don't know. I have doubts about this man. It's true. Here he drew reversing the chromatics. He made all the buildings around his building black and his building white, when in fact it's the very opposite. He even called it the Black Lily. I don't trust this man. It's true. Now it's very possible. I don't know. Maybe there is something of myself that I see reflected back to me from him, because Carl Jung said that when we criticize harshly something or someone outside of ourselves, it's because we see something that we are not happy with from within, reflected back to us from the one that we criticize. So I have to be careful. Maybe some of my characterizations about him could apply to me too. I hope not, but I want to be sincere and acknowledge such an unfortunate possibility. I hope not. I have seen, as I said, a huge fragment of this building at the Venice Biennial, hidden behind a row of clothes done by I don't know actually what they were doing there, by I think a South Korean designer. And I never understood, reflecting backwards, why that thing was brought to the Venice Biennial in that year, because it had nothing to do with the theme of the biennial, which was building for the poor. It was the poor's biennial. But because he is famous, he was invited, because this is the procedure. If you have fame, you are invited. Doesn't matter what the theme is. And of course, you don't do a new project, so you bring in from overseas or from wherever you bring it from, Switzerland, with immense expenditures to Venice. Look at this. Would you call this a graceful work? I wouldn't. I mean, even at this schematic level of a model, I wouldn't. Hello, Mr. Peter Zumthor. Maybe I was too harsh to him. I'm beginning to have a little bit of sorrow. But and you see, he is able to draw and to watercolor and so on. But this sketch that he did, to me, is showing either a rush or a certain disregard, both for the museum he was intending to build. Maybe he hates Los Angeles. It's possible, because I think this man is capable of adverse feelings. Yeah, we arrive at what I just said, and with this I think I end. The Venice Biennial in 2016, and that's a fragment of his big model for Los Angeles. And I told you it was hidden, it was hard to see, and it was actually in reality a little bit darker than we see in the picture. I don't know exactly what the meaning of this clothes was, but he didn't do this. This belonged to someone else, a designer. But this thing, huge thing, you can imagine how much is being spent to bring this. You see the scale, you see here the steps. I mean, this is, you can go inside. It's like a house bringing it to Venice. It's, you know, the expenditures are colossal. Was it worth it? In my opinion, no, it was not. And then we complain that the resources of the world are depleting. Well, that's why, because we do all kinds of foolish, gestures and expenditures that are really contributing to nothing. What can we do? The mystic is married here to, to fashion, and together they create the Black Lily of Los Angeles, which was not going to be built. Is not going to be built, I think. But this was, from at least 6-7 years ago. I don't know what happened to this project in the meantime. The inside, of course, typical museum, artworks on the walls, luxe calme volupté, shopping bags, before the pandemic. What can we say? Life can be beautiful, although the walls are gray, and in my opinion, rather depressing.